On this day in 2014, Mario Kart 8 was released for the Wii U, and we're still playing it a decade later. This is the biggest Mario Kart game to date with a total of 96 tracks, and today, to celebrate Mario Kart 8's 10-year anniversary, we're ranking them all from the worst to the best. This will be based on a variety of factors: visual creativity and layout, music, and how much I enjoy these tracks personally and have fun racing on them. If you disagree with me, that's fine, and even though this is a worst to best list, I'm still splitting the tracks up into tiers in order to more easily organize my thoughts. So without further ado, let's begin with our F tier. So, out of all 96 tracks in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which one is the worst? As soon as it was added to the game, many people have considered it to be the worst track in not only this game, but one of the worst tracks in the entire series. I am not one of those people. Don't worry, we'll come back to you, but for me, the worst track in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is number 96, SNES Mario Circuit 3. So, why is this the worst track in the game? Firstly, it's a SNES course. Not automatically a death sentence, but when you're a SNES remake, you're fighting an uphill battle that you usually lose. Second, it's a remake of a course that's already been remade 3 times prior to 8 Deluxe. It's tied with another track we'll get to later for the most reoccurring track in the series, appearing in Super Circuit, Wii, Tour, and now 8 Deluxe. It's the same thing every time. Do you know the Mario Circuit 3 lore? The layout is fine, but it's so basic that other tracks use the same basic layout like Donut Plains 3 and Snowland, but those 2 tracks do more than this does. Lastly, it suffers from being in the earlier waves of the Booster Course Pass. For those unaware, all these tracks were upscaled models from Tour and don't look as good as the base game. I never really cared about the graphics, but it drags down Mario Circuit 3 even further. Flat, boring, and IMO a waste of a slot. Let's move on. Oh, don't think I forgot about you. Number 95, 3DS Toad Circuit. Yeah, you all knew this was gonna be down here. On nearly every ranking I've seen for this game, 3DS Toad Circuit does not escape the bottom 5, and that's for good reason. We all know why it sucks. It looks significantly worse than the Mario Kart 7 version. It's incredibly simple and boring. It's just a generic circuit track. At the very least, it has a glider ramp, it has elevation, and it has toad balloons, which is more than Mario Circuit 3 can say. The music is also pretty good, but that's it. It's just Toad Circuit. What else do you want me to say that hasn't already been said? It's just Toad Circuit. Number 94, GBA Sunset Wilds. Let's take a slight detour from circuit tracks to talk about the worst desert track in the game. It had some tough competition, but this one takes it. Sunset Wilds is a popular course from Super Circuit. A lot of people were anticipating it coming to the Booster Course Pass. All 5 Super Circuit fans wanted to see their favorite track again, especially since it was in Tour. Then, Wave 5 dropped, and we played it.
I trusted you, and you gave me this!
Okay, let's address the elephant in the room first, the sunset. They removed this track's one defining feature. It was in the Tour version, by the way, and left us with this boring layout. Yeah, even if it did have the nighttime cycle, this wouldn't go up by that much. It would go from F tier to a solid D tier. Apparently, the lighting engine in 8 Deluxe couldn't handle the changing skybox. Yeah, I don't buy that for a second. Again, you could get this working on a GBA and a phone. And even if that was the case, then why bring this course back at all? GBA Yoshi Desert and its Tour remake were right there if you really wanted to bring back a GBA Desert course. Just a real disappointment overall. Sunset Wilds, we expected very little from you, and you still let us down. Hey, would you look at that? We're done with the F tiers. It really says a lot about this game's overall track quality if only 3 out of 96 tracks are an F tier. So now we move on to the D tiers, tracks that I don't necessarily like but don't hate as opposed to the last 3. Starting with a track that just barely managed to escape F. Number 93, Tour Tokyo Blur. The Mario Kart Tour City tracks are by far the most divisive tracks in the Booster Course Pass, and probably the game as a whole. Some love them, and some hate them. Me? I'm a Tour apologist. I don't have a problem with these city tracks existing. However, out of all 14 of these tracks, Tokyo Blur is by far the worst one. Never liked it in Tour either. I can appreciate the lap changing gimmick. In fact, it's the only reason this track isn't an F tier. Other than the changing laps, there's nothing to talk about here. It's just road and an occasional thwomp to dodge. I get that it was only the second city track to be made for Tour, but it's Tokyo. Surely Nintendo could have come up with something interesting for the place that their company was founded in, but they just didn't. I wasn't asking for Godzilla to be a stage hazard, but just something. Every other city track just does it better than Tokyo. Even the music, while good, is on the weaker side of city track songs alone. Tokyo Blur is just a very disappointing package, but you do have the lap-changing gimmick, which I like, so you get to be D tier instead of F. Number 92, GCN Dry Desert. We have our first track from the base game. This was my least favorite track in Mario Kart 8 when it dropped on Wii U, and it was only dethroned with the Booster Course Pass releasing the 4 tracks below it. This track is so boring. It's just a desert, with a hole, without a man-eating plant in it anymore. An oasis, so the name is now a lie. It's now Wet Dry Desert. Congratulations, Dry Desert. You now get to be named after one of the worst levels in Mario 64. Oh, and there's some pokies, I guess. Great course, right? No. No, it's not a great course. It's boring. Number 91, N64 Toad's Turnpike. This remake isn't very well liked in the Mario Kart community, and it's not hard to see why. Usually, I like traffic courses, but this one is a snooze fest. It's just a downgrade from its Nintendo 64 original in almost every way, even aesthetically. In the original, it had this skybox. That skybox was so cool, but here, it's just generic-ass nighttime. And this is coming from someone who is a sucker for a good nighttime aesthetic. As for the layout, it's legit figure 8 circuit with traffic that moves slow and is easy to avoid. Driving on the walls to avoid traffic sounds cool on paper, but then you realize it's slower than just doing it normally and no one takes that way ever. Yeah, this is just not a good remake. Next! Number 90, Bone Dry Dunes, another boring desert course. I like the theming with Dry Bones and Dry Bowser, and I guess the reddish sand looks better than the dry desert sand. But other than that, meh. Now, here's another thing you gotta know about me when it comes to this game. I vastly prefer 200cc over 150. Yes, I recorded all this footage in 150cc, but that's only because I wanted the footage to last more than 2 seconds on some of these tracks. Okay, now I'm getting off topic. How a course plays in 200 versus 150 generally won't be a factor in this ranking, but in this course, it's kinda hard on 200. I mean, it is in the Special Cup, but that doesn't really matter when the track isn't engaging to drive on. My only fond memory of this track was that one time my friend said it weirdly.
Bone Dry Dunes.
Why did you say it like that? Why did you say it like Bone Dry Dunes?
Dry Bones deserves better than this. Number 89, GBA Sky Garden. It pains me to put Sky Garden this low. Sky Garden was my favorite course in Super Circuit, and its remake in DS was my favorite retro course in that game. Not that it had much competition. The original Sky Garden, this is not. It's modeled after the Tour version, and some of the GBA courses receive simplified layouts in Tour. While this isn't a big deal for most of the GBA remakes, this might as well be a new course. An easier, unrewarding course. The original Sky Garden, it was challenging, but it was fun. And here, all that challenge was stripped away. Easily the biggest fall from grace by any retro course in this game. The music is the only thing saving it from going even lower. Hashtag not my Sky Garden. Number 88, SNES Donut Plains 3. I don't have a lot to say about this one, it's just another SNES track. At least it looks really nice and the music's decent. I like that you can trick off of the mole trails, and I like how the water was implemented. However, it's still a SNES track that doesn't stand a chance with the rest of the game. At least you made it out of bottom 5 SNES Donut Plains 3. Don't celebrate, that's not even close to bronze. Number 87, Mario Circuit. Hey look, it's a figure 8. Like in Mario Kart 8. It sure is a Mario Circuit track. Listen, it's been a decade, the Mobius strip isn't cool anymore. Conceptually, in 2014, this was a cool idea. Doing a figure 8 twice in the same lap. But when you're actually playing, you're just focusing on what's in front of you and not focusing on the fact that Peach's castle is now upside down and you're doing the mini-map twice. At the very least, it can escape being the worst Mario Circuit in this game. Thanks for nothing, Mario Circuit 3. Number 86, Water Park. The name tells you everything you need to know about how creative this course is. Water Park. Not even named after someone like Wario's Water Park, or something describing it like Wacky Water Park or Whimsical Water Park. It's just Water Park. Name aside, the theme is cool, but there's so much more they could have done with a water park track that they didn't do. Like, if this theme was saved for like the Star or Special Cup, this had potential to be one of the best tracks in the game. But being a beginner track really holds this one back from what it could have been. I'd love to see the water park or even an amusement park concept revisited in a future game. Hopefully it can be better than this. Number 85, 3DS Rosalina's Ice World. Piranha Plant Pipeline died for this, I hope you know that. The last true mystery of the booster course passed, and it turned out to be Rosalina's Ice World. I never liked this one, not even in Mario Kart 7. I wouldn't mind its inclusion so much if it wasn't for the fact that this track was in the final wave of DLC. Snow and ice tracks in Mario Kart games are always hit or miss for me, and this one is a miss. I do like the added shortcut at the end, at the last turn, but it's still the same mid-track that it was in 7. Sure, it's really pretty, but Mario Galaxy references don't save this one, despite how goated that game is. You just slapped Mario Galaxy references. That's not good theming. I would have preferred an actual track based on one of the galaxies. Hell, even the Comet Observatory would have been nice, but no. We got Rosalina's Ice World. This made it into the game over Airship Fortress. Number 84, GCN Sherbetland. How is it that there are 2 tracks in Mario Kart called Sherbetland, and both of them suck? Sherbetland is my least favorite track in Mario Kart Double Dash, but that was mainly because of that game's controls not meshing well with ice physics. Now that Sherbetland is in a game that feels good to control, meh. I like the ice skating Shy Guys, even though I've never been hit by them ever, and I can appreciate the new water route, but it's like Toad's Turnpike. It's slower, no one ever uses it. The track looks good, I like the nighttime aesthetic as opposed to the day one that it had in Double Dash, but that's the most praise I can give it. Number 83, Mario Kart Stadium. It's not a circuit, guys. It's a stadium. Totally different. When compared to the other starter tracks in the Mario Kart series, Mario Kart Stadium is actually pretty good, but at the end of the day, it's still a starter track. It does a good job introducing players to anti-gravity and gliding, and even has a few shortcuts and an awesome Mario Kart statue. But it doesn't do much of anything beyond that. It's not supposed to though. It's a perfectly fine starter track, but unfortunately pales in comparison to the rest of this game. Number 82, Tour London Loop. The only other city track in D tier is London Loop. This falls under most of the pitfalls that Tokyo Blur does, with a whole lot of road and not much else going on. To be fair to London, it does have slightly more going on than Tokyo, with the "we have Delfino Square at home" drawbridge, and the chain chomps that are set free to roam the track on lap 3. Those chain chomps definitely belong to Boris Johnson, by the way. Man, I'm not sure what else to say about London. I don't think I'm doing this track enough justice. What am I doing wrong? I know. I need a British man to help me describe this track. Hey, Incog.
Hey.
So, you know London Loop in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe?
Yeah, what about that track?
As a British man yourself, what do you think of that track?
I don't know, it reminds me of Elizabeth, R.I.P. It also reminds me of the drug dealers on the streets of London that offer you weed. It just doesn't
True.
remind me of anything pleasant. It's a whole
Yes.
bunch of trash.
Yeah, so you're saying you don't like the track?
The track sucks. Except the chain chomps. The chain chomps are cool.
Alright, so you have educated me on a bunch of British lore, and I've come up with a few changes that I think can be implemented if this track were to be brought back.
Alright.
So, firstly, the chain chomps, I think they should be painted blue.
Yeah, that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah,
It
because
would be
we
approved
all
by
know,
Boris Johnson, especially.
yeah, Boris Johnson, he likes to paint things.
You've got to promote his blue shampoo as well. Don't
Yeah,
forget.
exactly. So, secondly, in order to make it more authentic to the UK experience, I think halfway through the race, someone should stab you and steal your cart.
Yeah, you should have like a falling knife or people with a knife. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I'm not sure
Authentic.
how common car theft is in the UK, but we can sneak it in there.
And, I mean, there's quite a bunch of car crashes and stolen vehicles, so yeah, that adds up.
Yeah, and lastly, there needs to be a section based off of Peppa Pig World. Come on, guys.
I mean, you can't go wrong with that, because not enough people have been clearly.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone needs to go to Peppa Pig World. Not enough.
Too little.
Yep, so that's our improved London Loop. R.I.P. Queen Elizabeth, you would have loved this improved version of the track.
Don't worry, Charles is enjoying it for you.
True. And with that, we are done with the D tier and now entering the C tier. I can have fun on these tracks, but it's like, I'm playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Of course I'm gonna have fun. There are just tracks in this game I'd rather have fun on than these upcoming 16 tracks. That doesn't mean they're bad, they're just kinda average. Let's get started with... Number 81, Rainbow Road. There are 5 Rainbow Roads in this game now, and the one specifically made for Mario Kart 8 is the worst one by a significant margin. How sad is that? My friends and I have a nickname for this track, Disgusting Road. While I don't think it's disgusting, it's definitely the weakest of the Rainbow Roads. This one tried to be unique with the whole space station theme, but in my opinion, it doesn't really work. Rainbow Roads in other games felt like a triumphant end to that game's Nitro tracks. This one doesn't. Plus, it was not built with 200cc in mind. I like switching between the two roads near the end of the track, but I don't like it when I'm falling off. In terms of worst Rainbow Road in the series, it probably only beats the original version of N64 Rainbow Road for me. I just never liked this one. The music slaps though. There's a reason they used it in every Booster Course Pass wave reveal. Number 80, Sky High Sunday. Oh boy, with this track and the next two coming up, it's a triple feature on oval tracks. Starting with Sky High Sunday. This was advertised as a brand new course in the Wave 2 trailer, but we later found out that it was also coming to Tour the following week, and it was definitely made with Tour in mind. This was also the first Booster Course Pass track with anti-gravity, but it felt lazily shoehorned in. These rails giving you a spin boost just doesn't look right. I don't mind the floatiness of this track, but other tracks do floatiness better. The look is also a little too bright for my taste. There's another track in this game that does the whole Sweets theme better. Number 79, Excite Bike Arena, our second oval track. The idea of a track being random every time you play it sounds cool on paper, but the course is so painfully simple that it doesn't really matter. Now, despite its relatively low placing, I do get some enjoyment out of this one. Sure, it's not winning any creativity awards anytime soon, but sometimes, I just feel like turning my brain off and mindlessly spamming 80 tricks in one race. Still, without a doubt, the weakest of all the crossover tracks, but that's okay, the source game wasn't much to work with. Number 78, GCN Baby Park. The single most divisive track in Mario Kart history. Some people love Baby Park, and some people absolutely despise it. Me personally, C tier. I don't hate Baby Park, but I don't love it either. I appreciate the idea and what it represents. I think some people forget that Mario Kart is supposed to be a chaotic game. Items are a very important part of the game, and this track shows them off in full effect. A run of Baby Park where you front run and don't get hit by anything can be very satisfying. But it's still an oval, so I can't really justify putting it any higher. Better than the DS and Tour versions of the track at the very least. Those things suck. Number 77, N64 Royal Raceway. I think this choice might be a controversial one. Royal Raceway is a classic on 64, a game with only 15 other tracks. Here, it's up against 95 other tracks, and it only beat 19 of them. It's another Raceway track. The layout is decent, but my biggest gripe with it comes after the big jump. If you didn't know, in Mario Kart 64, after the jump, you can drive off course and onto Peach's castle grounds. The same ones from Mario 64. Useless, but a very charming Easter egg. That's gone here. Like, I understand it, but at the same time, we're just left with the generic Raceway. Number 76, GBA Mario Circuit. I'll admit, this one is probably a little bit higher than it realistically should be. I don't know what it is about this one, but I've always enjoyed racing on it. I like the Ultra Hand U-turn that they made into an anti-gravity section. They had no reason to do that, and they did. Even ignoring that U-turn, the rest of the track is very satisfying to blast through. I like the glider ramp off to the side, the shortcut through the tires, and the pit stop at the end. It's very simple, and it's what holds this one back at the end of the day, but this is a good starting point for the future of GBA track remakes. Don't forget, until the Wii U DLC dropped, this was the only GBA track in this game. Number 75, Tour Los Angeles Laps. I used to hold LA Laps in a higher regard, but upon replaying it, it's not that great. It's not terribly interesting, but I like some of the set pieces. The first lap with the beach is really nice. I like gliding over the baseball field on the second lap, but then we have lap 3, an oil field. I know it was a Tour variant, but there wasn't something else that could better represent LA? How about the Hollywood sign? Make it say Mario Kart or something. I never minded the Tour version of the song, but I will admit that this version is definitely better. Overall, it's still a lower tiered city track. Number 74, Tour New York Minute. Another track that some people would definitely have a lot lower on this list. I'm from New York City, and this was the very first tour track back in 2019, so I have a soft spot for it. However, my bias towards New York can only carry this one so far. The layout is stupidly simple compared to most of the other city tracks. It's comparable to Tokyo, but I like the nighttime aesthetic more, and again, NYC bias. Other tracks just have more going on, unfortunately. Personally, as a New Yorker, I think this track should have included Manhattan's best elements, like seeing 3 people in budget Elmo costumes in the span of 5 minutes, or people threatening you on the subway. It'll make this place feel more like home, you know? Number 73, Tor Rome Avanti. When they put Rome Avanti into Tor and I played it, I said, this is one of the most mid-city tracks they've made yet. And you know what? My thoughts haven't changed about it. I just don't think this one is all that interesting. Sure, it has rocky wrenches, but who cares? I like the chain chomps in the Coliseum, but that's it really. I just have no desire to pick this one ever. Number 72, Tor Berlin Byways. Our last city track for a little bit, I promise. Berlin Byways. This track is hard carried by its music, and even then, it's only number 72 in C tier. There's one other element of Berlin Byways I like, and that's the fact that Womps are filling the Berlin Wall. That is absolutely hilarious. Otherwise, it's just another city course. Lap 2 is a big nothing burger, and lap 3 after the Berlin Wall is much of the same. Berlin just isn't all that memorable outside of the music. Have you heard this song, though? Number 71, Wii Daisy Circuit. I liked Daisy Circuit and Wii and everything, but did this really need to come back? You couldn't have saved this for the next game? Listen, I love Mario Kart Wii. It was my favorite game in the franchise prior to 8 Deluxe, and even I think this is a little much. Anyways, on to the track itself, it's fine. I like that the stairs shortcut is now a glider ramp and the boost panels during the lighthouse section. I like how the track looks in general, it's very pretty. It's still a circuit, but it's a decent circuit. Regardless, they put another Daisy track in the game a wave prior. Just go play that one. Number 70, Ice Ice Outpost. Contender for the most forgotten track in the entire game. I never hear anyone talk about this one. It's not bad, just kind of average. The intertwining paths are cool, but they don't do much with them beyond, oh, you can jump off one path and go on the other path. I will say, I like how many shortcuts this track has on the glaciers, and the music is a vibe. So, Ice Ice Outpost isn't necessarily bad, it's just there. Perfectly average track. The track of all time. Number 69, nice. 3DS Neo Bowser City. In my opinion, this track is overhated. Neo Bowser City isn't great, but there's stuff I like about it. I love the aesthetic on this track. I like how the neon city looks, and I like the rain effect. Not enough tracks rain. The main problem I, and plenty of other people, have with this track is how it plays on 200cc. Brake drifting is damn near required to not fall off on this one. The last anti-gravity section also feels shoehorned in. Again, not great, but it's not the worst track in the game like some others claim it is. Number 68, DS Mario Circuit. DS Mario Circuit is one of the most controversial tracks in the game, and everyone already knows the reason why. DS Mario Circuit, it's hard to forgive you for taking the last DS slot from Airship Fortress. But I will be fair and say that this is the best Mario Circuit in the game, and probably the series as a whole. The layout is pretty decent for a Mario Circuit. I mean, it was in DS's Star Cup instead of Flower for some reason. I like that the piranha plants spit fire instead of just biting you, even if said fire is very easy to avoid. The new forest section is cool, I guess. The Wiggler only shows up on lap 3, so what's the point? It's not a bad course, but it definitely should have been Airship Fortress. I'm sorry. Number 67, Twisted Mansion. Missed potential. Feels like an inferior version of DS Luigi's Mansion. Sorry, I meant Boston Building. Man, what is up with me and confusing these track names today? I just wish there was more to it. I like the beginning. It kind of reminds me of Wii Bowser's Castle, you know, with the wavy floors. But things go downhill from there. The basement is flooded, it leads to a glider ramp, 2 more turns, and you're done. I just think more could have been done with the theme. DS Boston Building was better, should have been in the Booster Course Pass. Number 66, 3DS Rock Mountain, or Alpine Pass, which I kinda prefer. To wrap up C tier, we got Rock Mountain. Rock Mountain is not bad. I always thought this track was good, not great back in Mario Kart 7, and opinions here remain pretty much the same, except this time it suffers from the bad graphics of the earlier DLC waves. This course is probably the second worst looking DLC track in the entire game, bested only by its fellow 3DS track Toad Circuit. Plus, the glider controlled differently in Mario Kart 7, it controlled better in Mario Kart 7, and since this one focuses on gliders, it makes it worse than the Mario Kart 7 version. Not bad, but not impressive. There's nothing that makes me want to pick this one, you know? It is time for B tier. These are the courses I can say that I like and will generally have a fun time racing on. 65 out of 96 tracks left, by the way. Again, it says a lot about the overall quality of your game when 2/3 of the course lineup is B tier or higher. Let's get started with by far the biggest tier in this video. Number 65, DS Cheap Beach. Okay, I'll admit it, nostalgia is helping this one a little. Mario Kart DS was my first Mario Kart, and Cheap Beach is the earliest track from that game that's also an 8. But outside of nostalgia, this one is just a general improvement over its DS counterpart, and that's mainly thanks to the water. I'm not a huge fan of tracks where the main focus is underwater driving, but in this course, underwater helps it. It makes it feel so much more fluent and allows you to do stuff that wasn't possible in DS. Cheap Beach also just has a chill vibe. I love beach settings in video games, and this one is no different. Love this course. Well, not love. I like it. I like Cheap Beach. Number 64, Tour Bangkok Rush. Can we all promise that we're going to be mature about what this course is called? Okay, cool. I originally had Bangkok Rush in the higher half of C tier, but the more I play on it, I think I was being a little too harsh on it. It's still not amazing or anything, but it's a perfectly decent city track, even if it is nerfed from its original tour version by getting rid of the inky piranha plants. I mainly like the set pieces this one has, whether it be the gondolas when you start the course, the marketplace afterwards, the monorails, or the little shops on the third lap. Bangkok just does enough to stand out among the C tier cities, so it got bumped up to low B. Congratulations, Bangkok. Yeah, we're not going to be mature about your name. We're going to snicker every time we hear it. Number 63, Merry Mountain. This was the first Tour Nitro track that's not based on a city to be released. I thought it was in Tour, but I like it in this game. When you're playing this in December around the holidays, the vibes are immaculate. Vibes are okay in any other month of the year. So I love the Christmas theme, but how's the layout? I've seen some people compare Merry Mountain to the other 3 oval tracks that we covered in C tier, and I don't see the comparison there at all. Sure, it's a loop, it's simple, but it works. Again, the visuals and theme really carry this one. It feels like you're a kid again, filled with Christmas spirit, racing around Santa's workshop. However, the end of this course feels like you're a kid trying to fall asleep on Christmas Eve knowing that you have a whole bunch of presents to open in the morning. It lasts forever, just like the straightaway at the end of Merry Mountain. It's nothing, and you just gotta sit through it in order to get to your presents. Does this analogy make sense? It makes sense in my head, so I'm just rolling with it. Number 62, Animal Crossing. Been a while since our last crossover track. Animal Crossing is a series that I have no personal attachment to. I played New Horizons for a few days and was like, yeah, this isn't for me. Enough about my thoughts on the series itself, though. How's the track? It's fine. I can't deny that the track is charming with the multiple seasons gimmick and how the track slightly changes with each season. The layout is simple, but a simple layout fits the peaceful nature of Animal Crossing. Good course, but there are 61 other courses that I'd rather play on than this. Number 61, GBA Boo Lake. Guys, they did it. They added the lake to Boo Lake. Only took you 21 years. Another GBA glow-up that's actually fun to play on compared to the original. It's one of the shortest courses in the game, especially on 200cc. This one is really being held back by the length of the track and the fact that I'm not the biggest fan of ghost tracks in general. Still, it's one of the better GBA remakes, and is one of the best picks if you want to do one more race before bed. Just boot up Boo Lake on 200cc, and you're done in a minute, bada bing, bada boom. Number 60, Tour Paris Promenade. This introduced us to city tracks, and I think this was a great one to start with. Sure, it's simple compared to the others, but I think that's a good thing. It's supposed to introduce the lap changing gimmick, and having it only happen on the final lap, rather than laps 2 and 3, was a good choice. Going backwards has lost its charm now with all the other city tracks in the game, and Peach Gardens for some reason. Don't worry, we'll come back to that one. It was cool as hell back when Wave 1 dropped. So much so that when Wave 1 released, this was my second favorite track in the wave. Obviously, it's fallen since then, but I still like Paris. I want a full-on reverse mode in the next Mario Kart thanks to this track. We can get rid of mirror mode, no one cares about that. Number 59, Wii Grumble Volcano. I know a lot of you would have this a lot higher, but I always thought that Grumble Volcano was a lower tier Nitro in Wii. It's by no means bad though. The most memorable thing about this track in Wii was the Ultra shortcut that obviously didn't return for 8 Deluxe. This was way before they made Wii Retros cool again. The gimmick is that the track has less and less ground as the laps go on. That's cool, but when you're racing, you tend to not really notice that. Not much to say beyond that. It's cool, but it's not that cool. Number 58, Wii Moo Moo Meadows, another nostalgic track from the Shell Cup. Moo Moo Meadows is such a feel-good track. Firstly, I love what they did for this track visually. The sunrise is absolutely beautiful. The violins are so good in this remix. This track is just great vibes. With that being said, it's still a very simplistic track layout-wise. Although I do like the Moo Moos, yes, that's actually what they're called, and the Monty Moles at the end. It also gets bonus points for being the single most memeable track in the game. Quick meme montage. Forget Moo Moo Farm, take me to the meadows any day. Number 57, GCN Yoshi Circuit. Okay guys, I'm about to blow your mind, you're not gonna believe this. Did you know that this track is shaped like a Yoshi? I know, that is absolutely insane. This track looks the best it's ever been, but I can't help but feel like some of the charm it had in Double Dash is lost. It's still a solid track, but it doesn't have the tunnel shortcut like the original did. But you can still see Daisy Cruiser in the background. 9 years before it even became a DLC track. Also, this has nothing to do with the track itself, but the Bullet Bill extension on this track is insane. If you need to catch up with a Bullet Bill, do it here. So, it's still a good circuit, but I feel like its layout being shaped like a Yoshi kinda carries it. Number 56, Sweet Sweet Canyon. I like the theme that this one has, seeing all these different sweets. I'm not sure about the piss fountain though.
Cookie Monster? Hey.
Yeah. Is that piss on the left? Was that right? Wait.
And never seem not knowing his right to the
No,
left.
it's lemonade.
I make that mistake every time, bro.
I want to eat this track. This is Sky High Sundae done right 8 years before Sky High Sundae was even a thing. The layout is very simple. like other tracks in this tier, but it is a Mushroom Cup track, so I can't excuse it. Besides, it has a better layout than Sky High Sundae. Man, I've spent this entire segment just roasting Sky High Sundae, huh? Well, Sky High Sundae, were you in Wreck-It Ralph? I don't think so. Yeah, this course has a striking resemblance to Sugar Rush from Wreck-It Ralph. Do you think they had some sort of deal with Disney, where they were like, okay Disney, you can use Bowser for our movie, but in return, we can use your fake game for one of our Mario Kart tracks? It's probably just a coincidence, but that's how I like to imagine it. Overall, very charming track. Number 55, Tor Amsterdam Drift. Amsterdam Drift is one of the more underrated city tracks in my opinion. This one grew on me over time. The main thing I like about this one is how every lap has a distinct location. The windmills on lap 1, the canals on lap 2 where you go underwater through the Neverland sewage system, and then the tulip field on lap 3 even if they do look plastic. It also just feels like a nice calm drive. It's a race, but you also get to enjoy the view. Again, the plastic tulips. I also like the music. The vocals are calming to me. I don't know why. I like this one, but once again, other cities just do it better. Number 54, DS Shroom Ridge. One of the most forgotten tracks from DS and Wave 1's surprise pick. I think there's quite a bit to like here. The visuals aren't great, but Wave 1 just be like that. This is a traffic course, and back when Wave 1 released, its only real competition was Toad's Turnpike. The layout is interesting. Lots of twists and turns, making traversing the track and dodging the cars a decent challenge on 200, and just fun on any other CC. I also like the additional shortcuts added to this version of the track, both the glider ramp midway through and the wind gust near the end of the course. Lastly, the music is an absolute banger. The original got overshadowed by its DS brethren, but I'm glad it got a second chance here. Number 53, 3DS DK Jungle. The highest rated Banana Cup track. Gee, I wonder why. This track is meant to be a tribute to Donkey Kong Country Returns. Great game, by the way. There's a little bit of everything here. Tikis, bouncing flowers, the screaming pillars near the end, and the temple that really just makes you stop and say, "Oh, banana." The anti-gravity in said temple did feel a little shoehorned in, though. My main problem with the track is this. It feels a little unfair to judge this track based on what it isn't, but if it's meant to be a Donkey Kong Country Returns tribute, there were so many locations in that game and they chose the jungle again. So, not the best DK track, but not the worst either. If you want the worst DK track, look no further than DS DK Pass, the definition of mid. Thankfully, it's not in this game, so I don't have to talk about it. Hey guys, Editing John here. I didn't originally put this in the script, but I rediscovered this clip recently, and I wanted to include it somewhere. So here's something dumb that happened not on the track itself, but selecting the track.
Let's see. Kid Jungle. It's not Shy Guy.
Oh, is this I thought those were Shy Guy Falls. I'm an idiot.
No, it's
Brendan
They
doesn't
look the same.
Brendan, no, they don't.
Yeah, their icons look the same.
Bro, this icon has the word Kong in it.
Number 52, GBA Riverside Park. Another glow up. Back when Wave 4 was revealed and I saw this track, this is the track that made me say that they weren't messing around with the graphics anymore. This looks like it belongs in the base game. I love the addition of the Patuis carrying items. It makes this track feel a lot more alive. Considering this was originally a Mushroom Cup track in Super Circuit, I don't mind the simpler layout here. I would say this course was done justice, but it was already good in Super Circuit, so it was just made better. Number 51, Tour Madrid Drive. Back when Wave 6 released, I had this track much lower, but over time, I've grown to like it. This was the final city track added to both Tour and the Booster Course Pass, and it was definitely a decent one to end on. There's several set pieces to this one that I really enjoy. The plaza with the Wiggler, the water geysers you can trick off of, the museum with the piranha plants and all that 2D Mario artwork. I love that art style, so it gets bonus points for that. And finally, the highlight of this course, the soccer stadium. You see the Goombas kicking the soccer balls in their Goomba shoes while the awesome stadium variant of the song plays. I wish this part lasted longer, but it makes the track worth it in my opinion. Number 50, N64 Rainbow Road. N64 Rainbow Road is one of the most important Mario Kart 8 courses. Hell, it's on the cover of 8 Deluxe. However, it's also a very polarizing track, both in 64 and in this game. In its original version, it's the worst Rainbow Road in the series. It's the longest track in Mario Kart history, taking 6 minutes to complete, and that's if you're in first. Look at this, so entertaining! Here, it's only 1 lap, but it feels way too short, especially on 200cc. I feel like 2 laps would have been a good compromise. The visuals and music are great, just like the original, they just can't get the lap count right. Regardless, this was probably the best way they could have ended the base version of 8U, but the other finale tracks added since then heavily outshine this one. Number 49, DS Wario Stadium, another underrated track, though DS nostalgia did help a bit with this one. Firstly, I like that Wario statue more than I should. Changing this to take place in daytime helps this stand out a bit more from the game's other stadiums. I like how all 3 of the game's main gimmicks were incorporated here, that being anti-gravity, underwater, and gliding, and it all flows together smoothly. I also like the music. The remix fits this track a lot better than Waluigi Pinball. Solid remake. A lot better than the N64 track by the same name. That can stay in that game. That course is trash. Even though it's probably going to be remade in the next game. Yay. And that marks the halfway point of this list. If you made it this far, I hope you enjoyed the bottom half. And before we get to the top half of the list, let's all just sit back, take a breather. Here's my quick ranking of all of the 8 battle courses in this game. And let's continue. Number 48, Dragon Driftway. I always thought that Dragon Driftway was seriously underrated. The design is based off of Gobblegut from Super Mario Galaxy 2, which is a nice throwback. Should have been in 3D All-Stars, by the way. It's set in a dojo of sorts with all these references to Lakitu, and I love how twisty the layout is. In his fight, Gobblegut was also very twisty by design. They translated this one-time boss nearly flawlessly. The music goes hard as well, so I like this track. After all, it made the top half of the list. Number 47, Wii Koopa Cape. Next up we have Wii Koopa's Cape. Nintendo absolutely loves bringing this one back, and I can't say I blame them. Koopa's Cape was an absolute classic in Wii. Some people do say that this track peaked in Wii, with every following version getting worse. I half agree. This track did peak in Wii, but that doesn't mean that Koopa's Cape is bad by any means. I never minded the changes that this track made to the tube section, and even if I think it was handled better in Wii, it's still good. So I like Koopa's Cape. But other Wii tracks made the transition more gracefully. Man, growing up, I spent hours of my... Number 46, Shy Guy Falls. Shy Guy Falls is a weird one for me. I always liked the idea behind this one. Back in 2014, racing up and down waterfalls was the coolest shit ever. Chaining all the speed boosts up the waterfall is such an adrenaline rush, and speeding back down the waterfall and gliding over the rest of the track is also pretty cool. However, there's not much to it beyond the waterfalls. Here's why this one is weird for me though. So, I played this game with my friends a lot. There was this guy who picked Shy Guy Falls and Shy Guy Falls exclusively. He didn't like any other tracks, so we'd be done with a Shy Guy Falls race and he'd pick it again. Because of that, I started to get a little sick of this track after playing on it over and over again. Thankfully, he doesn't do that anymore, so I can judge it fairly again. Yeah, if I made this list back in 2021 or 2022, it probably would have been lower for this reason alone. But it's 2024, he doesn't do that anymore, and Shy Guy Falls can now sit comfortably at number 46. Number 45, Wii Wario's Goldmine. Some people say that this is better than the original, and some people say that this is worse than the original. I like both versions of this track. The main change here is that the mine itself is now an anti-gravity section, and the mine carts give you a boost. It makes the track easier, but I honestly like the change. It fits this game more, you know? Mario Kart 8 is also a much easier game than Wii. Again, it fits. The rest of this track remains intact from Wii, minus the Ultra shortcut obviously, so I liked it back then and I like it now. Number 44, Piranha Plant Cove. Okay, so when I first played this track in Tour, I thought it was hella mid. I figured I would like it more when it came to 8 Deluxe, and I turned out to be right. I love the setting to this one, going through this ancient ruins, a big water temple. No, not that one. This has a great balance of driving underwater and driving on land. This is also the only non-city track with the lap changing gimmick, and I think it works well here. The layout's not too convoluted, nothing feels sudden. Only negative for me is that no one part particularly sticks out for me, it all kind of blends together. Still, 8 Deluxe made me like this track. Number 43, SNES Rainbow Road. Fellas, just hear me out here, okay? I know this may be a hot take, but I like SNES Rainbow Road. This is tied with Mario Circuit 3 for the most reoccurring track in the series. Unlike Mario Circuit 3, I think this track actually deserves it. It's challenging, but not unfair. I really enjoy this one on 200. Not to brag or anything, but I never fall off on this track. Zooming through the track and not falling off, so good. Not to mention, this track looks absolutely stunning, the best it's ever looked. And they kept the change that they made in 7 where the thwomps create shockwaves that you can trick off of. This is the best version of the track. SNES Rainbow Road serves its purpose, and honestly, I wouldn't mind if it was brought back again. Okay, maybe in the next game we can give it a break, but the game after that, sure. And that concludes B tier, where we knocked out a good chunk of the tracks. 42 tracks remain, the A tiers. These are the tracks I really like racing on and will willingly pick online. Whenever I don't just pick random. This game has so many good tracks that I usually just default to random online because choosing from 96 tracks can be a bit overwhelming sometimes. Anyways, on to A tier, starting with number 42, GBA Cheeseland. In my opinion, Cheeseland gets way too much hate. First of all, the music goes absolutely insane. Top 10 song in the game. While the theme isn't as strong as the original, turning Cheeseland into more of a desert, I like the subtle things, like the craters you can trick off of and the pizza in the background. The layout also saw a major improvement. Elevation goes a long way when remaking SNES and GBA tracks. Now, the reason people don't like this track is because baggers thrive on it, but that never took away from the overall experience for me. It feels like a double-edged sword. When you're the one taking the shortcuts, you love them. When someone else takes the shortcuts, you hate them. One last thing I want to show everyone. A clip that happened while my friends and I were racing here. This has nothing to do with the track itself, it's just a moment I will forever associate with this track now.
Oh, a boo stole my porn!
Number 41, Tour Sydney Sprint. Sydney Sprint is not the best Tour city, but it held that title for the first half of the Booster Course Pass, and it's not even close. The atmosphere is great. This track is very chill. The set pieces here are fun to look at. The opera house, the bridge with the ramps and the coins, and the boat. It has a decent layout. However, there's one element to this one that elevates this track, and you already know what it is. You're listening to it right now. The music. Who cooked here? Never stop cooking. The Tour version was already one of the best songs in that game, and then saxophone. If this wasn't the song for this track, this would probably be in B tier, but saxophones are my musical weakness, so it gets to be an A. Seriously, let's just take a few moments to appreciate this absolute bop. Number 40, Thwomp Ruins. Some of you may think I have this one a little too high, but I always enjoyed Thwomp Ruins. General consensus is that this is the best Mushroom Cup track, and I wholeheartedly agree. It's nice to see Thwomps in a non-Bowser track. They have their own place now. The main thing I like about this course is the middle section after the cave. There's so many ways you can go. The normal road, the water, anti-gravity walls, the glider ramp. I love when tracks do this. There's also a neat shortcut right before the end of the lap as a nice comeback chance. Thwomp Ruins is the definition of short and sweet. Number 39, GBA Snowland. When people talk about the best GBA remake of the booster, most people will usually say either Boo Lake or Riverside Park. Both good courses in their own right and definite improvements over their originals. However, I have a different answer. It's Snowland. Where is all the Snowland love? It isn't an earthquake anymore. That already makes it a genuine improvement. Other than that, this course is just cozy. If I made this list based off of vibes alone, Snowland would be near the top. The music is happy, the atmosphere and skybox are lovely, the penguins are vibing. This is just a track you're not allowed to be in a bad mood racing on. I love this course. Number 38, Tour Vancouver Velocity. Vancouver Velocity is a fan favorite in the tour community. The atmosphere and music are on point here. I love the first lap with the suspension bridge, which has the only usage of anti-gravity in any of these city tracks. And the view when you're gliding back down is just immaculate. However, what keeps this from being any higher is that the laps get progressively worse. Lap 2 is okay, I like the hockey rink and the skating Shy Guys. It's Canada, they were legally obligated to put in a hockey rink. However, lap 3 is just mid. Still a good track, but it peaked in lap 1. I think if the lap order was reversed, then this track would be more beloved. Number 37, Dolphin Shoals. This might be the best song in the entire game. I hope whoever played the saxophone for this track was given a raise. Anyway, onto the course itself. Underrated. I really like the section with the giant eel that you can trick off of. All the pipes and ways to go right before it, that's cool as well. And even before that, you go off ramps and emerge from the water and say hi to the dolphins. All of that is well and cool, but then, after the eel, you emerge from the water yet again, and you hear that wonderful saxophone, and the shortcut right at the end. I honestly don't get why this one isn't more popular. I think Dolphin Shoals is awesome. Also, have you noticed that this is the first appearance of a Star Cup track in this video? 37th out of 96, and this is the lowest track in the Star Cup. I don't want to hear any argument over what the best cup is in this game. Number 36, N64 Yoshi Valley. My opinions on N64 Yoshi Valley have declined over time. I used to think this track was top 5 back when the Wii U version first dropped. Now that I'm a decade older, people have this one figured out by now. Everyone has a route that they like and they use that exclusively. Unless you're my group of friends. One day we were playing online during quarantine and one of us decided to take the cannon route all the way to the right. The cannon route sucks. It's significantly worse than any other path on this track. We realized this, and for fun, every time we got this track, we started taking the cannon route on lap 1 and catching up from there. It was a way to spice this track up, it made it more fun for us. There's also this egg at the end that's very easy to avoid, unless you're my friend Dark Devil 26.
I got hit by a bullet bill. Who is that? Who is that in the fucking? Who's that in the bullet bill? Fuck you. Absolutely wholeheartedly.
Ah, I got crushed by the egg. No, no, move out of my way. I hate it here so much.
Bullet bill!
Holy shit!
That mushroom.
Who saw that? I came like in 11th because of the damn egg. Who saw that? Who saw that?
So, Yoshi Valley is still fun, but it's not among the best for me anymore. Number 35, Tour Athens Dash. Much like Amsterdam, Athens Dash grew on me over time. This is definitely the most unique city track of the bunch, because you don't spend much time in the actual city, only briefly on the third lap. Instead, you have all these ruins to drive through, dodging Goombas while climbing up a lot of stairs. There are also a lot of jumps in this course. There's a sense of great elevation in Athens Dash. I don't know how tall structures and buildings are in Athens, but I like the sense of being really high up all these structures. Athens is just a fun time and definitely stands out among the other cities. But it's not the best. We'll get to that one later. Number 34, N64 Choco Mountain, a Wave 1 remake that actually improved the original track. I've always been a fan of Choco Mountain, and this version might be my favorite. Firstly, the cave section looks really good with all the crystals and stuff. Replacing a straightaway with a glider section was also a good change. The boulders are intact, but you can't fall off near the end anymore, which could be good or bad depending on how you look at it, and the music makes me want to go square dancing. I don't know how to square dance. Number 33, Hyrule Circuit. I'm not really a Zelda guy, but I can't deny how well the series was translated over to Mario Kart. The remix of the main Zelda theme is nice. The Deku Babas filling in for Piranha Plants was genius, along with rupees being subbed in for coins, but the real highlight is Hyrule Castle. If you drift and manage to hit all 3 bumpers, a jingle plays and you get access to a shortcut through the Master Sword. That's so cool and is a great way to represent the puzzle aspect of the series. So it's a love letter for Zelda fans and pretty good for everyone else. Number 32, 3DS Piranha Plant Slide. I always thought racing through your average 2D Mario underground level was a novel concept. I like how you start off outside and go through a pipe. Piranha plants and Goombas to dodge, mini pipes and brick blocks to trick off of. You're basically going through 1-2. And then the real highlight of the track, the underwater section, where you can trick off of pressurized air and dodge the big piranha plant as you glide back to the surface to do it all again. The idea they were going for here was executed really well. Great track. Number 31, DS Peach Gardens. One of DS's better tracks. I was excited for Peach Gardens to be making a comeback. It looked really good for that point in the past. The music was a nice chill remix, then I played it. Laps 1 and 2 were good old Peach Gardens, but I was confused about the tour track arrows being present here. We get to lap 3, and suddenly we're going backwards. I didn't like this change at first, but the more I played on it, the more I liked the backwards final lap. I just wonder, why this track specifically? Apparently the path you used to go backwards was unused in DS. Again, weird choice, but any track that lets you high-five Luigi belongs in at least A tier. Number 30, N64 Calamari Desert, the other retro track to receive the tour treatment, and man did this track need it. I never disliked Calamari Desert in 64 or 7, but it always left something to be desired. In the past, your entire race on Calamari Desert was determined by the train. Is what I would say if the train was actually an issue after the first time you encountered it. The train was cool, but I can probably count the amount of times it actually stopped me on one hand. Here, on the second lap, you see a ramp, and boom, you're on the train tracks. This was such a cool way to spice up this course. Facing the train head-on, it's actually a threat now. Not only being able to drive in the tunnel again after 7 removed it, but the fact that it's now required for the track, so good. This is easily the best version of Calamari Desert. Number 29, GCN Daisy Cruiser. A classic from Double Dash that I think is the best version of the course yet. The changes it got in Mario Kart 7 with the underwater driving only helped it. The pool is drivable instead of having to go around it. The dining hall section now has Toads, Yoshis, and Shy Guys sitting at the tables, which is a really cute addition. The boiler room is still flooded and the eel is still down there. The whole remake remains pretty much intact from 7, but that's okay. 7's version of this track was a top 10 track in 7, for what was already a top 3 course in Double Dash. You just can't mess this one up. It's Daisy Cruiser. Number 28, Wii Coconut Mall. Next up, we got...
You just got coconut mauled!
What the hell was that? Anyways, we got Coconut Mall, one of the most iconic Mario Kart tracks of all time.
You just got coconut mauled.
Where are all these voices coming from? This is probably the worst version of the track, but it's still Coconut Mall. I don't care too much about the escalators or the parking lot.
You just got coconut mauled.
Shut up! Though I do have some things to say about the parking lot. The donuts, while I appreciate them being added, it's easier to avoid than the old cars. Also, I want Miis in the cars again. I don't appreciate this Mii genocide.
You just got coconut mauled!
Waluigi, is that you? The mall is also way too bright, but again, it doesn't take away from the fact that it's Coconut Mall. It's still fun.
You just got coconut mauled.
What is going on here? Give me a moment.
You just got coconut mauled!
Hi, my video is being hijacked by people saying you just got coconut mauled. Hello? God damn it, they hung up on me. Let's just move on. It's Coconut Mall.
Hi-ho, Kermit the Frog here, and you've just been coconut mauled. Goodbye!
I hate it here. Also, shout out to the following people for helping me with this segment and lending their voices. Number 27, Bowser's Castle. 9.5 years. This was our only Bowser's Castle for 9.5 years. Despite that, this is still a damn great one, among the best Bowser Castles in the series, alongside 64, DS, Wii, and a certain remake we'll get to soon. The music is metal. There are no thwomps here, but in their place we have Bowser statues shooting lasers at you. After that, you have a giant Magma Bowser statue punching the road and making waves to trick off of. That was the coolest thing ever as a 13-year-old. Fire bars and lava geysers are still here too. It's a unique Bowser's Castle, and definitely nails the atmosphere you've come to expect from Bowser's Castles. I'm just glad it's not the only one in the game anymore. Number 26, Wii Moonview Highway. The surprise track of Wave 5, an unexpected surprise but definitely a welcome one. With all the cities that were being added thanks to Tor, I thought for sure that this one wasn't gonna make it. Firstly, they didn't need to go this hard on the remix. Like, holy shit, this slaps. I like how at the end, they randomize where the boost panels are. It makes it more fun to chain boost panels and go fast, especially on 200. Some people say the slower cars nerfed this course from Wii, but I don't know, I don't really mind it. It's on par with the original for me. But I also feel like this could have waited until the next game. But regardless, Moonview Highway slaps. Number 25, Super Bell Subway. Now, what did I say 49 entries ago?
Flashback.
Personally, as a New Yorker, I think this track should have included Manhattan's best elements, like seeing 3 people in budget Elmo costumes in a span of 5 minutes, or people threatening you on the subway. It'll make this place feel more like home, you know?
End of flashback.
Finally, another New York course. Will it feel like home this time? Well, people still don't threaten your life here, people don't piss over the platform, and there are no rats on the tracks. This still doesn't feel like home, god damn it. The course is pretty cool though. There's so much charm to this one. The subway map of all the different tracks and the signs saying Yoshi Valley and Music Park. In the underground section, there's graffiti that looks like 1-2 from Super Mario Bros. You have the option of avoiding the trains on the sides or facing them head on. You can even ride on top of them. This is one of the most well-made tracks in the game with an incredible theme. Number 24, Cloud Top Cruise. Cloud Top Cruise was a fan favorite when 8 first came out on Wii U, and I don't blame the fandom for giving it that status. It's a very dynamic course, racing through the clouds, going onto an airship, the closest thing we'll have to Airship Fortress in this game, sadly. Gliding into a thunderstorm, dodging lightning bolts as you boost past the storm and glide onto a vine coming out of a question mark block. This course is just a thrill ride. Also, you gotta love the Mario Galaxy in the music. Great course. Number 23, Toad Harbor. I never hear anyone talk about this one other than, yeah, that one's pretty good. I think Toad Harbor is one of the most underrated tracks in the game. It has a San Francisco vibe way before city tracks were even a thing. The main thing I love about this track is that there's always two paths you can go on towards the goal. There's the normal road, but there's also the boat shortcut, the awnings, the upper road, the anti-gravity section that no one ever uses, and the alt route towards the end. Just like with Womp Ruins, I love when tracks do this. It makes Toad Harbor stand out in my eyes, not to mention it looks and sounds great, and is another certified feel-good track. At long last, we're done with A tier and onto the S tier. This game has a lot of great tracks, but these remaining tracks are a cut above the rest. I will say yes to playing on them, and they have little to no flaws. They make Mario Kart 8 Deluxe the great game it is. Starting with number 22, GCN Waluigi Stadium. We waited half the booster course pass for a double dash track, and man, what a good one to bring back. When half pipes were being reintroduced to the game, bringing this one back only made sense. It has new anti-gravity platforms that fit in and are kinda hard to stay on in 200. It also looks beautiful for this point in the pass. The mud is so good, it looks more like chocolate than Choco Mountain does. Only thing I'm not really a fan of is the remix, and even then, it is not a deal breaker by any means. This is just another course that's impossible to mess up. Unless you really liked these dancing signs from previous versions, but I can live without them. Number 21, SNES Bowser Castle 3. SNES remakes are generally bad. Hell, I put one in last place. So imagine the smile on my face when I saw this track for the first time in Tour. This is the best SNES remake, hands down. Like I said back with Cheeseland, elevation comes a long way when remaking flat tracks. This is the first SNES remake with any kind of elevation. It looks and sounds phenomenal. There are a lot of different ways you can go at the beginning, and it even has some risk versus reward. You can either go to the left, which is the faster route, or you can get more coins and items on the right route. Then there's the 3 pillar section, which were made into walls that you can drive on, and they're admittingly kinda hard to stay on. This course was a glow up and a half. If every SNES remake was like this one, we wouldn't groan every time we see one return. Take notes in the future. Number 20, Mute City. One of 2 F-Zero tracks in this game, and while this is the lower of the two, Mute City is still incredibly fun. This track was made for 200cc. F-Zero is a fast game, a track based on a fast game for a fast mode. The coins being tied to the recovery panels, just like in the original game, is so cool. The anti-gravity helps it and allows you to hold your control stick back on the final section and never touch the ground. Forget what I said about Cloud Top Cruise, this is the real thrill ride. And while Mute City, again, isn't as cool as its brother, it is still a great time. Captain Falcon should have been in this game. Number 19, Wild Woods. This one genuinely surprised me by how good it was, and honestly, I couldn't really tell you why, but I'll try my best. Firstly, it looks beautiful. The detail on the tree and the Shy Guy portion after the tree trunks, they have a little village. It's great. The music is beautiful, it perfectly fits the atmosphere. The layout is great, from the tree trunks to the tree water slide to the pond with lily pads and boost panels and a shortcut right at the end. Wild Woods is yet another, say it with me, feel good track. Why didn't you say it with me? I told you to say it with me. Regardless, it's so great. I don't think it gets enough praise. Number 18, Sunshine Airport. Another track that was in my top 5 when 8U dropped. Sunshine Airport is a banger to this day. Airports are normally very boring, but this track is anything but. Starting in the airport itself, seeing all the flight times for the other tracks in the game, going through a cargo hold and the inside of a plane, to gliding with the planes as they're taking off, and then gliding the opposite way with a Koopa Troopa Beach cameo. I've always enjoyed the ending cut through the baggage claim. Sunshine Airport was a cool idea for a track, and it was executed very well. You can even hear the airport PA during gameplay, albeit barely. If you didn't know about this, here it is.
This is the final boarding call for Boomerang Bros International Airlines, Flight 117A to Sweet Sweet Canyon, departing from Gate 3. Passengers departing on Galaxy Airlines, Flight 2580, bound for Dolphin Shoals, should proceed to Customs and Immigration at this time. Paging Galaxy Airlines, Flight 2218, passenger Ms. Burdo, please proceed to the information counter on floor 2.
I love little touches like this. Banger track. Number 17, Tour Singapore Speedway. Singapore Speedway, the undisputed city track king. Singapore is so good that it makes people who normally hate city tracks say, yeah, that one's pretty alright. What is it about Singapore that makes it so much better than every other city? First of all, it looks great. Nighttime with all the bright lights and colors. The set pieces are fun, the rooftop pool with the Goombas, the water geysers, the Toad's Factory conveyors, Chinatown. The music slaps. I regularly come back to this one. This track feels like a party. Come to Singapore, stay a while. Nintendo knew how special this one is. Here's a fun fact. When this course was revealed for Tour, they didn't reveal it normally. You had to reply to the Mario Kart Tour Twitter account for a 1 in 9 chance of being shown the Singapore trailer in replies. They knew. Overall, this is the best city track by a country mile. Congratulations, anyone from Singapore who could be watching. Number 16, GCN DK Mountain. The best Double Dash course makes a return here, and it's as enjoyable as ever. The course looks great, but there's one thing I want to mention about its look. When Wave 6 was revealed, my friends didn't like how the mountain looked compared to Double Dash and Wii. I think the new one looks awesome, with the face being carved in and you can see the lava. The old one looks like it was drawn on with a Sharpie. How's the layout? It's good old DK Mountain. The past ramps now being part of the mountain was a nice quality of life change. The gap jump at the end, that was a little too easy in Wii, was changed but not removed. DK Mountain will forever be a classic, and I enjoy seeing it every time. Though, I thought the last GameCube slot was gonna go to Dino Dino Jungle instead, since DK Mountain is very similar to DK Summit, which was added 2 waves prior. Speaking of which, number 15, Wii DK Summit. Conceptually, DK Summit is very similar to DK Mountain, but I think this one does a little more with the concept. A ski lodge is a little more unique than just jungle again. You have mogul hills that you can trick on, thick snow to dodge, and snowboarding Shy Guys. The double cut from Wii can be a little janky at times, but it's still here, and it's not DK Summit without half pipes. Admittingly, half pipes needed a little more time in the oven. They are very janky if you don't take them the right way. You'll find yourself going backwards sometimes, but I still like it. They also changed the statue. In Wii, it was a statue of Mario for some reason, but here the statue is now of the Summit's rightful owner. Banger track then, banger track now. Number 14, Wii Mushroom Gorge. My favorite course from Wii as a kid. I think this is the best version of Mushroom Gorge. The layout combines elements from the previous versions. The beginning shortcut that 7 removed is back, and the cave now has 3 routes. The glider shroom is now in the middle, which I really like. The gap jump is also back in all its glory. My only real gripe with this course is that I can barely hear any difference in the music. But it's still Mushroom Gorge, it's still fun, it's still the same track we all love, but at the same time, it's just different enough to be a fresh experience. Number 13, DS Waluigi Pinball. Ah yes, good old Waluigi Pinball. You know people were gonna riot if this didn't make it into the DLC. It's a fan favorite for a reason. Although recently, people have started to be like, actually, Waluigi Pinball was always mid, you're just nostalgia blinded. Yeah, shut up. The concept of driving through a pinball machine is such a novel concept, even to this day. For a Wave 2 track, it honestly looks really good. The layout remains completely intact. The same layout without any shortcuts, but hey, don't fix what isn't broken. What else can I really say about it that millions of others haven't already said? It's Waluigi Pinball, yet another track that's destined to be S tier forever. Number 12, 3DS Music Park. Again, if it isn't broken, don't fix it. The second best track in Mario Kart 7 returns. This made perfect sense to be a priority retro track, which if you didn't know, tracks from the previous game that were brought back immediately for the next one. Driving on instruments and they make noises as you're driving on them. That's so cool. The Piranha Plants head bob to the music, they know what's up. The bouncing notes that you can trick off of, nothing was changed from its appearance on 3DS, but nothing needed to. This is still one of the most unique track ideas in all of Mario Kart, and it was executed near flawlessly. Number 11, Wii Maple Treeway. Maple Treeway is a certified classic, fan favorite from Wii, and it made the transition to 8 Deluxe very gracefully. Fall environments always look very nice, such a chill vibe. The music still sounds as beautiful and calming as ever. The Wigglers are back, and since Wiggler is playable again, you can have Wiggler on the Wild Wiggler driving past the Maple Treeway Wigglers. Should've thought about that before I recorded all this footage on Teddy Buggy, huh? Regardless, it's Maple Treeway, it's a banger. There's only one negative I see people bring up, the removal of the jack-off bridge.
My favorite part of this track is the jack-off bridge.
Oh, here we go! Come on! Come on! Come on! Yeah, there we go. Good speed, good speed.
Oh yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, funny meme, but the glider just makes sense, and it doesn't take away from the track at all. Maple Treeway slaps just as hard as it did back in 2008, and is the second best Wii track in this game. Yes, we have an S+ tier. The past 12 tracks are all fantastic and worthy of their title in S tier, but there are tracks in this game that go even beyond that. I have reserved this honor for the top 10 tracks. I absolutely adore these 10 tracks, I will defend these 10 tracks, and I'll choose to race on them every single time. Let's kick off this home stretch with... Number 10, Ninja Hideaway. If Ninja Hideaway has 1 million fans, I'm one of them. If it has 1, that's me. Maybe. Ninja Hideaway is a track that's very divisive from what I've seen. Some people love it and some people hate it. It's in my top 10. What side do you think I'm on? The aesthetic is something we haven't seen before, a ninja dojo. The layout is great, so many different paths that lead to the same place. You can take a different route every lap. The music is one of my favorites in the game. I know it's a little difficult on 200cc, which I'm convinced is the only reason people hate this course, but that never took away from it for me. It's a decent challenge. This course is one of the best things to come out of Tour, and I'm glad it's no longer stuck on mobile. Number 9, GBA Ribbon Road. This is almost unrecognizable from its original version in Mario Kart Super Circuit, and I think that's a great thing. Whoever was in charge of redoing this course is a genius. They turned this track into Toy Story. The background has so much stuff, including replicas of karts in the game, which I think is funny how 2 of the karts they made are the meta until Wave 4 and the meta now. And we also have a poster for Kung Fu Lakitu. The road has different colors representing different areas, red being normal, green being Bowser territory with Mecha Koopas, and blue being wavy and anti-gravity. This feels like a completely new track, and I love it. Definitely the best retro in base 8 Deluxe. If it wasn't for... Number 8, DS Tick-Tock Clock. DS Tick-Tock Clock is one of 3 tracks where I put them in my top 10 back in 2014, and a decade later, they've remained in my top 10. This track makes the DS version look unfinished, and Tick-Tock Clock was already one of the best tracks in DS. Racing inside a giant clock was always a cool idea. and it was fully realized here, tricking off all the different gears, traversing all the moving parts, dodging pendulums, and riding the 2 gears at the end for one last momentum boost. If we ever got Super Mario 64 HD, I'd imagine TikTok Clock would look a lot like this. I have no problem giving the title of Best Remake in the base game to this. Number 7, Electrodrome, the second track to stay in my top 10 from 2014 to now. In fact, this track was number 1 during that time. It's fallen since then, but hey, still top 10. Electrodrome is one of the tracks I first think of when I hear Mario Kart 8. It looks beautiful, the nightclub is a joy to look at. I want to go here in real life. The anti-gravity section is amazing, riding on the walls, leaving a color trail behind, choosing a pink or green path, leading the musical tiles like Music Park, and one last shortcut before doing it all again. In the background TVs, you can see Koopas and Shy Guys raving out to the music, which is amazing by the way, with Larry as a DJ. How can you not love that? Electrodrome deserves every amount of praise it gets. Also, it's been 10 years, it's Electrodrome, not Electrodome. You need the R. R. Number 6, Wii Rainbow Road. What a great way to end off the Booster Course Pass, and the game in general. This is up there with my favorite Rainbow Roads in the series, and it retained everything that made it great in Wii. I do have one negative, and it's more so a nitpick, but out of the 5 roads themselves visually, I think this one looks the worst. However, when it plays this great, I can look past that. The layout is tricky, but not bullshit. It's more chaotic because everything is anti-gravity and you're bumping into everyone. You still turn into a fireball when you fall off, I love that. This could be Mario Kart Wii nostalgia taking effect, but they translated Wii Rainbow Road perfectly, and we couldn't have asked for a better finale. Number 5, Squeaky Clean Sprint. This track is an absolute masterpiece of design. Whoever's idea it was to build a racetrack in a bathroom is a genius. There's so much charm to this one. It kind of reminds me of Mario Party DS. You know, everyone's really small and the normal things around you are giant. All the bathroom elements are here. A full sink and bathtub with a bath bomb that you can trick off of. The drain with a ring in it. Sucks to be the guy who dropped that ring. Soapy floors, a toilet spraying water, and a towel shelf. Not to mention all the Mario-related bathroom products littered in the background. There's even more alternate routes to go. Like at the end, if you glide all the way to the right, you have this path with a mushroom. Why is there a mushroom in the bathroom? I don't know, but it's here. They jam-packed so much into this track, which once again is a bathroom. This is one of the most creative Mario Kart tracks to date, and is sure to be a fan favorite for years to come. More of this, please. Number 4, Big Blue. The second F-Zero track and Mute City's cooler brother, they knocked it out of the park with this one. Firstly, the sax in this remix goes hard, especially on the final lap. It's entirely an anti-gravity, making big skips possible when you hold back the control stick off big jumps, just like in Mute City. There's so many twists and turns. This combined with 200cc actually feels like you're playing F-Zero. There's conveyor belts, there's waterfalls, there's a tube thingy with boost panels. There's just so much going on here, and it's all amazing. Big Blue is amazing. The F-Zero tracks in this game show us that a new F-Zero is definitely possible. They just don't want to make it. I guess for now, this and F-Zero 99 will have to do. Number 3, Mount Wario. Mount Wario is a serious contender for the best Mario Kart track ever made, and the final track in the Top 10 Then, Top 10 Now trilogy. This took the idea of racing down the mountain that DK established and increases it by 100. You start off in a helicopter at the top, going through snowy turns and a cool mini-cut, a cave with icebergs, the Wario Dam, a forest with trees to trick off of, and topping it off with moguls and a ski jump glide to the finish line. This track is an adventure from start to finish. The music starts off calm but gets more intense the further down the mountain we go. Mount Wario is a masterpiece of a track and is a testament to how cool Wario tracks usually are. But I gotta know, Is Mount Wario a race course or a command? Number 2, Yoshi's Island. Now this is how you do a crossover track. Yoshi's Island is nothing short of a love letter to the SNES classic. The art style is directly inspired by the game. It's so colorful. You visit a lot of Yoshi locations in such a short amount of time. Yoshi's house, an underground cave, a snowy area, lava mountain, and the clouds. None of it feels forced. It all flows together very smoothly. The coins are Yoshi coins. The remix of the athletic theme is beautiful. It has its own results theme and startup music. Lastly, there's the cloud shortcut near the end, which is probably my new favorite shortcut in the series. Hit the cloud and make a bridge appear, but you don't get penalized if you miss. There's no reason not to go for it every time. This course is amazing and the definition of pure joy. 95 tracks down, 1 to go. You already know what it is if you use process of elimination. Let's get to the obvious. Number 1, 3DS Rainbow Road. 3DS Rainbow Road is the best Mario Kart track ever made. Hey, just because 3DS Rainbow Road is the predictable choice doesn't mean it's the wrong choice. If anything, that just goes to show you how amazing this track is. More so than any other track does this feel like an adventure. This feels like a race through space itself, not just some random rainbow in space. You drive around planets, on Saturn's rings, a mushroom with the longest stem known to mankind, and even on the goddamn moon. The moon even has lowered gravity, which is a nice attention to detail. That's not to say there isn't any actual Rainbow Road here, because we got that too, and it all feels so grand. The third section has a giant tube with boost panels and a glider ramp for a long and satisfying glide to end it all. There is, in my opinion, nothing wrong with this track. Some people I know don't like section tracks. I love them, and this one tops them all. 3DS Rainbow Road is magical, and my choice for the best track in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Well, there we have it. All 96 tracks in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe ranked. I just want to take this time to say, if you watched this whole thing, thank you. I had a lot of fun making this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. Before we go, I wanted to rank all the cups in the game real quick. When you average out everything, the lower number means the better it did. Number 24, Banana Cup. Number 23, Shell Cup. Number 22, Mushroom Cup. Number 21, Cherry Cup. Number 20, Lucky Cat Cup. Number 19, Flower Cup. 18, Special Cup. 17, Rock Cup. 16, Golden Dash Cup. 15, Turnip Cup. We actually have a tie for number 13 with the Acorn Cup and Egg Cup. 12, Crossing Cup. 11, Triforce Cup. 10, Leaf Cup. 9, Propeller Cup. 8, Boomerang Cup. 7, Moon Cup. 6, Spiny Cup. 5, Lightning Cup. 4, Fruit Cup. 3, Bell Cup. 2, Feather Cup. And number 1, Star Cup. Long live the Cup King. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. I've been wanting to do more long-form content for a while now, and I also plan to do more videos on Mario Kart in the future. I hope you're all excited for that, as I am. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.